Welcome dear students, elective course of 5th semester of your BSc Agriculture degree program, Elect Agron 311 Agriculture Waste Management. Today I am going to discuss about conservation agriculture. This topic conservation agriculture is not included, though it is not included in this syllabus list of the syllabus, but this conservation agriculture topic is very much related with the agriculture waste management. In our regular lectures we are discussing the agricultural waste management. We are discussing the several methodologies of agricultural waste management or several fate of agricultural waste management. Either it is managed properly or it is managed improperly. Whatever is being done with the agricultural waste, we are discussing. Agricultural waste can be managed so that resources can be conserved. Like this, agricultural waste can be managed. So this how the agricultural waste can be managed for conserving the natural resources, this will be discussed. But before that, this conservation agriculture should be very clear to all of you. This is the reason why I am taking this topic here to discuss, that is conservation agriculture. So in this topic, the points which will be discussed today, the points are: what is conservation agriculture? Definitely, if there is a term conservation agriculture, this term comes to your mind. Definitely you should understand the meaning of conservation agriculture. The concept of conservation agriculture, it should be very clear in your mind. So we will just understand what is conservation agriculture. Principles of conservation agriculture. When we will understand conservation agriculture, then definitely we will come to know that it is a concept. So what are the principles, on that basis conservation agriculture is being performed? That is to be discussed in this lecture. An idea of conservation agriculture, here I will discuss you that how this idea has came into existence, that conservation agriculture can be a practice. So this will also be discussed here. And next is the comparison of conservation agriculture with conventional agriculture, because you will see during the lecture that conservation agriculture is a concept, is a practice based on certain principle. So if this is a practice, there are few advantages of this practice. The otherwise is the conventional practice which is commonly being done. So how can we distinguish these two practices? So this comparison is very important, so that will also be discussed in this lecture. So first we will have to understand what is conservation agriculture. So you know, agriculture, conservation means to conserve something. What thing is to be conserved here in agriculture? We have to conserve the natural resources. As we do agriculture, and our conventional practice or our conventional practice, because we want to exploit the resources extraordinarily to get the maximum advantage, this is the reason that we are losing the biodiversity. So conservation agriculture is not only to conserve the natural resources, it also conserve the biodiversity in the atmosphere or in our ecosystem. So again we can just say it in another word, that conservation agriculture is the eco-friendly agriculture. Yes, you can say it like this. So conservation agriculture means to conserve. You have to do agriculture. I am not saying that don't do agriculture to conserve the natural resources. You have to do the agriculture, but do it like this so that natural resources can be conserved, biodiversity can be conserved. So it is a farming system that can prevent the losses of arable land. This can also regenerate degraded land. Here again it is very clear that because of our faulty agriculture practice, we are losing some cultivable land, or we are losing some arable land or good quality land, and the land is getting degraded and converting into the poor quality land. Because of our conventional means, there are some faults in that practice. That's why the land is losing or degrading. So this conservation agriculture is a practice which can regenerate the degraded land. It promotes the maintenance of permanent soil cover, minimum soil disturbance, and diversification of plant species. So this is the practice how conservation agriculture is being performed. So first I told you it is to conserve the natural resources and biodiversity. It is to prevent the loss of land, arable land, and to regenerate the degraded land. So these are the objectives, or this is the conservation agriculture. But how it is being performed? So definitely we will have to promote permanent soil cover. Soil should be covered. Now, covered by what? That will be discussed later. Minimum soil disturbance, because in our agriculture practice we do lot of cultivation, lot of tillage practice, and we disturb our soil so many times. Because of this disturbing the soil, the erosion occurs and soil is degraded. So here the minimum soil disturbance is advocated. And what we do in our agriculture practice, if you will see in the season, if you will go to Haryana and Punjab in Rabi season, the whole land is covered with wheat only. So this monocropping is not desirable. The diversification of plant species should be there. It means if it is Rabi season, definitely wheat should be grown, barley should be grown, oat should be grown, some mustard should be grown, peas should be grown, some vegetables should be grown. It means there should be the diversification of plants in the field. This is also one practice which is advocated by the concept of conservation agriculture. It enhances the biodiversity and natural biological process. So this is the consequence. When we do conservation agriculture like this, the consequence will be that we will enhance the biodiversity in our ecosystem. Natural biological process will be improved. So our ecosystem will improve, and this whole practice will improve soil fertility. And if it will improve soil fertility, then what will be the result? Nutrient availability or nutrient use efficiency. It will also use your soil property, because it is regenerating degraded soil. It means it will improve your soil health. If it will improve your soil health, means the physical property of the soil, chemical property of the soil, biological property of the soil, it will be improved. So ultimately the water use efficiency by the plants on that land and nutrient use efficiency from that land will be increased. So ultimately our land will be productive for a longer time. Sustainable means it should sustain as such for a long time. If we exploit our resources extraordinarily to produce larger profit in a shorter time, definitely we are going to degrade our land. So the productivity will not be sustainable for a longer time. So this conservation agriculture is the concept which ensures the long-term improved crop yield. So this improved and sustained crop production can be achieved from this conservation agriculture practice. Next is, I want to tell that initially it is developed as a natural resource saving practice. So the objective to develop was, initially it was just to save the natural resources, but now it is practiced around the world due to the increased environmental concern. So because the problems are arising, as I told you, the problems are arising because of the extra exploitation of resources. So now it is being practiced worldwide on different in different countries on different scale. So these are points, if you read and elaborate sincerely, then you will understand the conservation agriculture. So after understanding all these points, one definition of conservation agriculture can be derived. So this definition, conservation agriculture, as a concept for resource saving agricultural crop production that strives to achieve acceptable profit together with high and sustained production. So here profit maximization is not the only goal. Definitely we should get the profit. So that is acceptable profit. Means definitely we should get profit. That's why we are doing agriculture. But it is, the goal is combined together with the goal of high and sustained production level while concurrently conserving the environment, because increased environmental concern. That's why this practice is being adopted. So environmental concern, or our conserving the environment is one goal. Sustainable production level is another goal. High yield is another goal, and acceptable profit. That is the meaning of these different component of the conservation agriculture, which is combined together. So this definition of conservation agriculture is derived from, or derived by FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, in 2007. So this is the principle of conservation agriculture. Conservation agriculture has three components, or there are three things, three principles of agronomy which should be combined and adopted and related with each other. These three components should be managed with good agronomic practices. So these components are permanent soil cover. The soil should be covered. Crop rotation and associations. So the crop rotation should be very important for conservation agriculture, and this is not only one crop, as I told you earlier. Diversified crop species, I told you in the last slide. Diversified crop species means diversification in agriculture, or diversification in cultivating the crops, means either it is mixed cropping, or it is intercropping, or it is monocropping, but different crop on different field. So we should have so many crops. So it means association. So association means in a one season 3-4 species should be there in your field. Crop rotation means after one crop you should go for the another crop. And crop rotation is the another concept. In your other agronomy courses you will study the concept of crop rotation in detail, and the key factor is that one leguminous crop should be there in crop rotation. Third component is minimum soil disturbance. So every time for sowing of the any crop, in crop production you will study that 2 plowing, 3 plowing or 4 plowing is required. But here zero tillage practice or minimum tillage practice is advocated. So these 2-3 plowings are not required. Zero tillage, basically I am not saying that it should be zero tillage strictly, but definitely we can go for the minimum tillage. So that's why here zero soil disturbance is not written, it is written that minimum soil disturbance. So even because when we zero tillage means we are not doing good agriculture. We cannot achieve good profit, because acceptable profit is also one goal. So zero tillage, especially strictly not advocating, but we just, our concern is that minimum tillage or minimum soil disturbance should be there. So these three things should be combined. Like this soil cover, the soil should be covered permanently. Here again you are seeing that soil is covered. Here you are seeing the soil is covered. Here if there is a crop in the field, soil is covered by the crop. If it is a wide spacing crop, you should cover the crop by dead materials as a mulching. So again the soil should be covered, and the good agronomic practices should be adopted. So the goal of the conservation agriculture is improved livelihood and a better environment. Improved livelihood means you should get a good yield, you should get a good yield for a longer period of time, you should get good profit, so that livelihood will be improved. But at the same time your cultivation practice and your livelihood will not disturb the environment, or you will not damage the environment. So a better environment can also be achieved. This is the goal of conservation agriculture. So again, how the components of conservation agriculture are related with each other. This is depicted in this diagram. This diagram I have taken from the site of CIMMYT, and the reference I have given you here in the last slide. So this conservation agriculture, CIMMYT has described it in detail very clearly, so that this, with the diagram, with the help of this CIMMYT diagram, I want to explain the conservation agriculture to you people. What is crop diversification? It means incorporating is growing two or more crop at a time. That thing I told you, two or more crop at a time on the same piece of land. Crop rotation is growing two different crops on the same land and in sequential manner. So crop rotation and association means crop rotation, next, after one crop, next crop should be grown on the same piece of land, and two or more crop should be combined either on the same piece of land or just by rotating each other. So this is crop diversification, is the one component which is very important component of conservation agriculture. So the crop diversification, the benefits of crop rotation and intercropping is reduce the occurrence of pest and disease by interrupting their life cycle. This is one advantage which we can achieve by conservation agriculture. Weed control is the another advantage. Adequately distribute the nutrients in the soil. This is because of the crop rotation, and that's why I told you, crop, if we are following the crop rotation, definitely we should understand the principles of crop rotation also. Only then you can accurately distribute nutrients in the soil. The another advantage is the reduced economic risk, because we have 2-3 crops in one season on our field. If there is any negative effect of environment or any natural calamity or like heavy rain or hailstorm, whatever it is, so there is chance of failure, so one crop can get failure but another crop can give you the yield. So the economic risk is also reduced because of the crop diversification, and definitely nature is being conserved, natural resources are being conserved because we are following crop rotation. So soil fertility, soil physical status, water holding capacity, these things are improving. Allows to balance residue production from crop, leaves, more residue than others. So here what is happening, because we have 2-3 crops, we are following crop rotation, so definitely our time of the next crop for each field will be different. Definitely it will be one window, that is if it is Rabi, so it should be shown in the window of Rabi, but we have a time of 1 or 2 months. So one field will be vacated earlier, then when we will sow one field, crop will start to grow in one field, then another field will be sown. So like this, your field will be engaged so many times. So the crop cover, which is I am telling that crop soil should be covered. So here soil will not be exposed directly to sun or to atmosphere. It will be covered either by crop or by crop residue. So this is one reason, that one advantage, that the balance of crop residue can be maintained. So this crop residue can also be utilized by as mulching or by covering the soil surface, and it reduces the climate risk. So these are the advantages of crop diversification. Next is the minimum soil disturbance. Here the advantages are: it avoids compaction and soil surface sealing. It reduces the erosion that I explained you. If we disturb our soil for more time, so the chances of erosion, or if the erosion will be high, because here we are not disturbing, even we are following zero tillage or minimum tillage, so erosion will be very less. It reduces the greenhouse gases also. It reduces the improves the soil fertility and soil structure. Because we are following crop rotation, one thing. Another thing, we are covering the soil either by green vegetation, that is crop, or by crop residue, and the crop residue will decompose in the soil. It will improve the soil. And if it is covered by crop, still it will utilize the nutrients of the soil, but it will because of the mulching, it will also conserve the fertility and moisture in the soil. So soil covering not only conserve the fertility, it will also conserve the moisture, and it will also conserve the soil flora and fauna. So soil flora and fauna will work in the soil and will lose the soil. So our soil will become healthy. So this will again add one advantage: improvement in soil fertility, improvement in soil condition. This we will achieve. Third is soil coverage with residue of the previous crop, cover crop, or both. That's why I am saying either the soil is covered by the cover crop or by crop residue as a mulch. So what is crop residue? Crop residue or stubbles is the accumulation of dried up plant parts left on the field, including cover crop or green manure, everything. So that is residue. So that is a soil coverage. Here the higher water infiltration available on the soil, less evaporation. So that's why I am saying that if we cover the soil with, see, if we minimum disturb the soil, definitely soil will be covered for a longer time. So this minimum disturbance of soil is also related with the soil cover for a longer time. So definitely evaporation loss is less, moisture is being conserved, less water and wind erosion. Erosion is less because of less disturbance, erosion is less because of, or erosion is no because of, so crop cover, soil cover, and increased biological activity. Here again, here I told you, soil microflora and fauna will flourish, so that it increase the biological activity, and soil organic matter will also be increased. So ultimately, because of crop diversification, because of minimum soil disturbance, because of soil coverage, we will conserve soil fertility, soil nutrients, soil physical and chemical and biological status. We will conserve soil flora and fauna, and we will improve our fertility for a longer time. So these are the things, how these things are related with each other, and ultimately when we manage these components with a good agronomic practice, means we are following the conservation agriculture. So conservation agriculture this way can be a very beneficial. So this is the idea of conservation agriculture, that if we not perform conservation agriculture, so greenhouse gas will be produced and the climate change will be the result. However, sustainable farming method can do opposite. Means if we do sustainable farming means that our practice should be like that productivity should sustain for a longer time. So it increase the resilience to climate change, it protect the biodiversity and sustainably use our natural resources. So how this sustainable farming can be achieved? To achieve this sustainable goal, this conservation agriculture was the answer. So from where, because climate was changing, because of the climate change, because I told you then it is not a very old concept. This definition is formulated by FAO in 2007 only. So this is not a very old concept. When we were reading in 80s and 90s in our agriculture universities, then this conservation agriculture, even the sustainable agriculture was a new concept. So this was when we people thought that we are disturbing the climate and we are feeling we are experiencing the climate change. So this is noticed that because our exploitation agriculture practice is disturbing the climate. So sustainable farming method is advocated in 2007. So one concept is being designed, that is conservation agriculture. So from there this idea came. So conservation agriculture conserves natural resource, biodiversity and labor also. It increase available soil water, reduce heat, drought stress, build up soil health in the longer term. So these are the things which I have explained you earlier. So that is narrated here in words, that so that you can understand better that conservation agriculture is a sustainable practice. So sustainable intensification is a process to increase agricultural yield without adverse impacting on the environment. So this is sustainable agriculture. So conservation agriculture practice leads to or enable sustainable intensification. So if we follow conservation agriculture only, then we can go for the sustainable intensification, because sustainable agriculture sometimes it may be low yielding. That's why we should go for the sustainable agriculture, but we should intensify it for the better profit. So conservation agriculture can give you the way for the sustainable intensification of agriculture. So this is the comparison, because our conventional agriculture, what we do, and if we will advocating conservation agriculture, so what are the minimum changes which we require? This is practice. Our practice in conventional agriculture is disturb soil and leaves a bare surface. एक खुला हम मैदान हमको चाहिए, कोई घास ना हो, कोई उस पर मल्च ना हो, कुछ ना हो, बहुत हम डिस्टर्ब करते हैं सॉइल को. So we disturb the soil for a lot. But here minimum disturbance of the soil in conservation agriculture. Cropping system. In conventional agriculture, monocropping is a common practice, but in conservation agriculture we should diversify our cropping pattern. Residue management. So this burning, again the residue burning is a problem. Otherwise if we don't burn, we remove it from the field. Again we just create a bare soil surface by removing the waste, and when we remove it, then there are another use of waste, that is we are discussing in this course. But residue burning is a common problem in conventional agriculture, but in conservation agriculture, residue retention on the soil surface. So this crop residues are retained on the soil surface. It will act as a mulch, and in a longer time it is decomposed in the soil and add the nutrients in the soil. It will also improve the fertility level of the soil and physical condition of the soil. Erosion. Soil erosion is more in conservation, in conventional agriculture, but in conservational agriculture, even soil can be conserved from the erosion. Not only natural soil is also natural resources. So soil can also be conserved. Physical health, conventional agriculture very poor, comparatively good in conservation agriculture. Soil biological health is poor in conventional agriculture. You know, we burn the crop residue. When we burn the crop residue, the impact of crop residue burning on soil has been discussed earlier. Nutrient level is disturbed in the soil. Biological activity of the soil is disturbed or become negligible. Then when do agriculture, we apply lot of chemicals to meet out the nutrient requirement of next crop, because the conserved nutrient of the soil we have lost because of the burning. But here in conservation agriculture, that nutrient is conserved in the soil. And biological property, biological activity of the soil is very good. They just mineralize your nutrient. This mineralization, immobilization, that has also been discussed already. Water infiltration. Lower water soil pores are clogged. So lower water infiltration is achieved in conventional agriculture. But better water infiltration rate is achieved in conservation agriculture. Soil organic matter. Clearly understood. Soil organic matter is less in case of conventional agriculture, but soil organic matter can be built up in the soil and gradually it will increase because of the conservation agriculture. Weeds. So weed control is done by the chemical spray, and there is a lot of problem of weeds in conventional agriculture, and we just every time wants to fight with weed violently just by destroying it, by spraying the chemicals on the weeds. But in conservation agriculture, because of mulching, because of crop cover, or because of soil cover, either it is crop cover or mulching, weed problem is automatically very less, and that can be managed manually also. So this chemical attack is very less or negligible in case of conservation agriculture. Diesel use is high in conventional agriculture, but diesel use is much reduced in conservation agriculture. Again, this is a saving of natural resources. Production cost is high in conventional agriculture, but production cost is less in conservation agriculture. Timeline. Here operation can be delayed, but in conservation agriculture we have a fixed timeline for the observation or its operations, or at optimum time it can be done because of the diversification. Yield can be lower wherever planting is delayed in conventional agriculture. But or here one more point can be added. If there is any failure, natural calamity or climatic unfavorable condition, yield will be low. But in conservation agriculture, yield is good yield can be achieved, and because of the diversity, profit can be achieved. So this is the comparison of conservation agriculture and conventional agriculture. So here you can just judge that how conservation agriculture will be beneficial for us. So the learning outcome of today's lecture is we understood the problem of extensive exploitation practice of agriculture. You can go through this lecture again to understand this point, whether we have understood or not. Problems of extensive exploitation practice of agriculture. We also understood the relevance and importance of conservation agriculture, and through this lecture we have got an idea how the conservation agriculture can helpful in crop residue management. So here I am going to give you an assignment. That assignment will be uploaded on the LMS. You will again go through this lecture. You can go through your some other supportive readings also, and you will have to write an essay or write an article crop residue management through conservation agriculture practice. This on this topic you will have to write an assignment. I am going to upload that assignment also. For the more understanding of this topic, you can go through these two articles. One is a chapter, Conservation Agriculture for Restoration of Degraded Land and Advancing Food Security. This chapter is in the book of Conservation Agriculture for Advancing Food Security in Changing Climate. This book is published in 2018 by Today and Tomorrow's Printers and Publishers, New Delhi, written by Das et al. We can say. And another article you can go through, what is conservation agriculture. Through this website you can just read that what is conservation agriculture. Thank you very much.